It will start and there we go. All right. So in my textbook, I'm in chapter 2 and I have the chapter 2 lesson 1 through 7 type tools and gradients file that I downloaded from the assignment that's in my course. And I'm going to position these. There we go. All right. So first thing we're going to do, create point text. This is your simplest of text tools. Oops, come on. It is just using the main type tool, this one here. If you want to create a tear off bar for your type tools so that you can see them all as you go, just hold down until you get this menu, and then you can click this little arrow here, and you have the tear off bar, which might be a little faster. Okay. So first thing we are going to do is create a text box with the word berry. And so this is all of the stuff that I go over in class. So yeah. Okay, you need to go to the course and go to chapter 2 and download the file. All right. So first thing it says to do is click view and hide the bounding box. And the bounding box is showing. Maybe I just don't understand why they want us to do that. So I'm personally not going to do it. You can do it if you'd like. But I kind of like seeing my bounding boxes, so I'm not going to do it. All right. And then I'm going to take my type tool and I'm going to click on my artboard. Now, remember, whenever you set up a text box, it's going to remember the last settings that you have in Illustrator within that document. So we'll see. What does mine look like? Oh, pretty normal. Okay. I'm going to type the word berry in all caps. And let's see. Black fill, no stroke, selection tool, drag the text to the center of the artboard. Okay. Turn off your smart guides. All right. You can do all that. I'm just going to leave mine where it is so that you can see. I'm going to highlight my text. And then whenever you're in the text tool, you will see in your control panel up here that you have 2 options for the character and the paragraph panel. You can use those from there, or you can go into Window, Type. This is the only set of panels I feel like that has these different kinds of rules. And then open your character panel from there. And for mine, with default, the paragraph panel kind of comes with it. So and then I'm going to make sure I'm showing all of the options. And then I'm ready to move on. Okay. And then they give you a nice little illustration of what all the little things mean. I can never remember. I just hover over them and then, wait for the little box that tells me what it is. All right. So down here, character, family, I'm looking for Times New Roman or a similar font. Let's go for it. All the way down to the T's. There we go. Classic, right? Everybody loves the Times New Roman. And then on the font size box, I'm going to type in 142. So that's right here, this first one. Right now it's at 12. I'm going to type 142, and then I'm probably going to have to change my view here. And then horizontal scale, you're going to type 90. So that's the tracking. That's the horizontal scale. Right now it's at 100. Let's type 90. Then deselect. And then we're going to mess with the tracking and kerning. Okay, so to deselect, I'll just click my selection tool, click off of the text there. And I kind of move this out of the way. And there we go. That's what we just did. We created a word and changed the size. Okay, so with the selection tool, I'm going to select the text again. I'm going to double click in the box when I see that little blinking thingy there. I know I can now select that text just like that. And then on the character panel in the tracking, I'm going to put in -30. So here's my tracking in the character panel. And I'm going to type -30. Then it says click the type tool and click between the B and the E. So I'm actually in my type tool, but yeah, there you go. Just click between those two. And then in the kerning, we're going to change this value to -40. So that's the kerning right there. And you can use these arrows to do that, or you can just type in -40. All right, and then change the kerning value to -20, 0, and -20 between the other letters. Okay, so between the E, I'm going to change it to -20. And then between those R's should be set to 0, which it is. And between the Y and the R, we're going to go for -20. Or sorry, -120. Okay. And so what I've done now is taken individual letters and made them closer or further together so that the text is easier to read. That's all kerning is. Tracking affects the entire word. Kerning goes in between individual letters. All right, and so click selection tool, open paragraph panel, align center button is shown in figure 6. So I'm going to reselect this, go to my paragraph panel, which is right next to this one, and do the align center. And then it wants me to hide it. Object, hide, selection. The highlight's still there though. There it goes, it went away. All right, so moving on to the vertical type tool. That's in this panel here. It's this one with the T that goes up and down. I'm going to type the word berry again. This time, it's going to be vertical. Super exciting, right? All right, I'm going to stretch out this little box, move it so that it's easy to see. And one thing I want you to notice, this is what I mentioned when we first started, is all of the settings that I had made are the same. It sticks with whatever the last thing you set up in your character panel, it stays with that. So just keep that in mind. All right, so now we're going to select, change the font size to 84, the tracking to 160, and make sure the horizontal scales are both set to 100. All right, so double click in there, select, font, 84, tracking, this one, no, that's scale, sorry, this one. Tracking 160, -160, I apologize. And then the horizontal scale here is 100 and the vertical scale is 100. The horizontal scale needs to be bumped back up to 100. Okay. And there you go. That's all you had to do for that one. If you wanted to show that horizontal one now, you can, but completely up to you. I check it when I get these and see if they're there. It's not a big deal. So moving on to area text. They give you a file in the course, and I included it in your assignment, called the dummy text file. That's if you were copying and pasting from somewhere else. So let's say you had like a Word document or something and you wanted to copy and paste that, that text from there into Illustrator, you can certainly do that. However, your text tools all come preloaded with the dummy text, so you don't necessarily have to do that. So we're going to work with just filling the object with the regular tool. All right. So for this one, they've given me a guide. Close that for now. They've given me a guide here. And so what they want me to do is trace the guide using the rectangle tool and then fill it with text. So just get as close as you can. If you want, you can do Control U and have those smart guides on. And you'll just draw a rectangle. And then I'm going to reverse so that I have a black stroke and no fill. All right, and so then it's talking about copying from the dummy text. So then I'm going to go to my area type tool, this one. Remember, I put little pictures and stuff down here. Trying to help you out here. All right, click your area type tool. And what's important to do here is to make sure that you, when you're filling an object, that you're clicking on the path. So position your cursor here and then just click. And it now has text in there. Now it has the text that I had previously formatted with Barry, which, you know, isn't necessarily appropriate for this. So we're going to open up that character and paragraph panel again, and we're going to change it. So under character, we are good, Times New Roman. We need our font to be 12. Oh, okay, hold on one second. So I see why they had us do the dummy text file, because if you remember your text, then it didn't fill the box. So that's not a big deal. What I'm going to do, click off of this. I'm going to undo a couple of steps, and I'm going to set this text size up before I do the area text. All right, so I'm just going to click the size to be 12, and now I'm going to refill it. There you go. Okay, so now the leading, which is somewhere down here. Printing, tracking, leading right here, right? Yeah. We're going to set this to 13.5. And then on the paragraph panel, set the space after paragraph value to this little symbol and 5 points. So I'm going to change my justifying also to align left. Like I said, it remembered what I did to Barry. So change that back. And then this little symbol here, we're going to set to 5. Okay, and then the first line indent, that's funny. They're giving you the width tool symbol. I don't know why. But the first line indent is this one right here. And we're going to set this to 8. Okay, and now it said to justify to the left, but we had already done that. All right, so now I'm going to click off so you can kind of see it better. My tracking and kerning is a little bit all over the place. That's fine. What I'm looking for when I grade this is just that you set up these indents and that it's justified left and filling the shape. All right. So moving on to California here, we're going to do almost the same thing where we are taking the area type tool and we are just filling the shape and then we're going to align it. Okay, so does it tell me to copy it? That's all I'm looking for. Sorry, y'all, I'm trying to read. So let's go ahead and make a copy of this, but we're not actually going to paste it yet. So what we'll do is take our area type tool. We're going to click on the path of California, and you can see it now filled this with text. And then we will now do edit, paste in front. And so that way we have our line back. Okay, so if I select the text, the font should already be 12. The letting set to 13. And then in the paragraph panel, we are going to do the space after paragraph value will be 7. And we're going to align center. All right, and then left indent, right indent to 8 points. So this is our left indent, go to 8. Oops. Right indent also goes to 8. Okay, and so now it has you apply swatches. So I made a copy of California before I filled it with text. And then once you fill it with text, then you go paste in front. So before you fill with text, edit, copy, and then do your area type tool. Once that's in there, then you'll go back to here and you'll do paste in front. And that way it'll stay there. So just do Control Z a couple of times to go back to where you started. All right, so now moving on from here, they're just going to have you do some fill and stroke options with the state and the text color. I think that you are all good to do that independently. So let's get into text on a path. All right, and so they're showing you stuff I went over in your class. So click the selection tool and select the path, right? So select, now I'm selecting the path. And then I'm using my little type on a path tool to type the word roller coaster. So, sorry, I'm just looking at what's about to happen. Okay, so type on a path tool. And then just click on the path. You'll get the dummy text, and then you can just type the word roller coaster. All right, so now I'm going to change the font style to, ooh, I'm about to make a mistake. Do y'all know what it is? Do y'all know what I was about to do wrong? I gotta select it, right? Select it to affect it. Okay. Choose impact or some other similar font. Change the size to 22. Wish 22 was just an option. Sure, I'll type it in. That's fine. And so now they're going to have us drag along using these brackets. Again, going to the paragraph panel and center it. Mine's already centered because I've already, used that. And if you wanted, because of our settings here, to space this out again, what did I do? Tiny window. Okay. I can select this and set these back to 0. So the kerning and the tracking both at 0. All right. And then it should look fairly normal. Okay. So what happens when you go, if you're in text on a path and you go from your text tool to your selection tool, is you start seeing all these kind of odd little handles here. And so they will let you move the text along the path in different variations. But the one that kind of appears is just like this straight line here that has the little, if you see my mouse, the little arrow cursor that goes up, you can see that. That's going to let you flip it up and down. So you can make it go upside down if you wanted to. All right, so then we're going to drag it across the path again, position on the top. I don't remember where this thing ends up. I'm gonna put it back up here. And then in the character panel, look for that baseline shift box. That is this one. And set that to -18. All right, check it out. It went on the other side. So there you go. Maybe that's easier to use the baseline shift than using the little handle here. All right. Moving on to this fun one. So that one's kind of like your warm up. This is the super fun one. Okay, so same concept as California. We're going to copy this circle, do some other things, and then we're going to be pasting it back in so that we will be able to see our circles. Whenever you change a circle or change anything to be a text path or whatnot, it disappears. So that's the whole purpose of why we do it this way. All right, so with the selection tool, select that inner circle and then copy it. So now I'm going to go to Edit, Copy. And then I'm going to select both of these circles and I'm going to go to Object, Lock, Selection. Okay, so a little check-in. Are y'all with me so far? All right. Wake up, Malin. How can I need to go over something again? All right, Nick, Madison, Toko, Luke, Chris, Huda, Stacy, Aisha, Isaac. Give me an update. Me too, buddy. All right, so moving on. Okay, so we copied the inner circle and now we have locked these two circles so that they aren't going anywhere, so that we'll be able to see them. And you could potentially kind of do the same thing with California if you wanted to do it that way, completely up to you. But yeah, we'll just follow along with what they have here. So now I'm going to paste in front, and they put a note here that the circle is going to lose the fill and stroke when you make it a type on a path object. Okay, so edit, paste in front, and then choose my type on a path tool. And they say at 10 o'clock, which is, I guess, around here, you're going to click on the path and you're going to see some dummy text. I'm going to type Melrose Avenue. I feel like I did that backwards. Does that look backwards to anybody? Hold on, let me do it again. Okay, so let's see. Oh, it is. It keeps going inside. I must have something set to be doing that. All right, no worries. I can change it back with the handles. Okay, so on my paragraph panel, mine's already set to align center. If yours is not, go ahead and align center. Then you're going to go over to character. Sorry, I keep randomly clicking on things and it's yelling at me basically. Okay, so my font style is impact. The size needs to be 45. And verify that all of their text boxes are at 0 or 100. All right, so this should be what, 0? Let's do 0. Those are at 100, those are at 0. Okay, okay. This one should also be at 0. Okay, so you see that fixed my problem. So whatever settings that I had in there before was causing my text to be on the inside of that circle. Okay, hold on, Riley, I'm looking. Yeah, okay, so yeah, Riley saw it before I did. That's exactly what happened. All right, moving on. So now I'm gonna hide that for a second, and like I said, it doesn't like what I'm doing. With my selection tool, if I select the text with the selection tool, I now have these brackets. So what I'm going to do is position them so that Melrose Avenue is at the top of my circle. So I'm just pulling that bracket around, and see I'm getting that little plus sign telling me that the text isn't fitting, and that's fine. So I'm going to go to this other bracket and I'm going to pull this down to about center here. And there they are. All right. So with the selection tool, position the left bracket and the right bracket at 9 and 3. Okay, and then on the character panel, click enter 7 for the baseline shift. All right, so character panel, baseline shift, going, that's it, right? No, that's the letting. Baseline shift is down here. Up to 7. All right, and that centered this in between those two circles. So now it says click object on the menu and click lock. The path and the text box on the path are now locked. Okay, so object, lock, selection. All right, so now in this next step, it's going to have me do another paste in front, assuming that the circle that I had originally copied at the very beginning is still waiting in my clipboard. So we'll see. If not, I might have to go in and either draw another circle or unlock it and paste again. I don't know. So it's up to you. Okay, so let's go to edit. Paste in front. Oh, and it did. It worked. There we go. Okay. So drag, wait. You will now use this new circle to text the bottom of the illustration. Okay, so what they are doing here is just telling us to now type this. They're not going through the how to do it again, and that's fine. So with our type on a path tool, just type on the path. And we're going to type motorcycle shop. Ooh. Oh, it's supposed to be in all caps. I had my caps locks on and I didn't realize it. Okay. Not shop. Shop. Okay. So then drag the center bracket straight across the path so that the type flips across the path. On the character panel, enter -44 in the baseline shift. All right, so this might be a little bit hard to see. And if it is, you could always go in here and hide Melrose if you wanted to. That's completely up to you. So we are bringing Motorcycle Shop down by using the handles to position it this way. And then, whoops, I picked up the wrong thing. Sorry, that happens to me sometimes. It'll happen to you as well. Right. Sorry, going back with the brackets. I set it up backwards. Okay, so -44 baseline shift. And then -40 in the tracking. So that it all fits. Okay. And then it says kern things that you want to. So like maybe between that E and the S here, you could click in there and then do more kerning because they're kind of close together. We'll see. Oops, not that much. There you go, about 50. That'll work. All right, and so now we are all good with the text. They're going to have you draw these diamonds and put those in right there and right there, which you can do on your own. Now, the touch type tool, I mean, it's as simple as this. You click the touch type tool and then you select a individual letter, and then you can manipulate those individual letters. I don't know why it wants to go to that T so bad. Sometimes you just got to deselect things. Okay, well, Maybe I should follow the directions and then I wouldn't have these problems. Okay, so reversing the text. So that's going to be when you're finished, typing and you go to the selection tool, you have this that will reverse it. And then you have the little handles to move it. And then they had you do some things in here with the baseline shift that made it go where it was supposed to. All right. So I want to get to the gradients. We only have a few more minutes. So I'm not going to spend too much time. I'm not going to actually spend any time with the touch type tool. I mean, everything's in here. It's pretty self-explanatory unless, you can't get it to select your thing. But like I said, I feel like if I went through the instructions and actually read them, it would probably work out for me. Okay, moving on to gradients. What we are going to do here is create gradients. And so you're actually going to do this a couple of times. So using your shape tool, click once and make this a 4-inch circle. And then click OK. And so now I have a 4-inch circle and I'm going to change the swatch to yellow. Okay, so now with the swatches panel, I'm going to open the swatch library, find gradients, and then spectrums. So with my swatches panel, in this little menu here, open swatch library, gradients, spectrums. And so you see I have this new little box that has some pre-made gradients in here. So then click the swatch name spectrum, and it says that this is going to change. It's not because I don't have it selected, but if I do, then I find spectrum here, and it did change. All right. So I don't think I need this anymore. So now I'm going to open the gradient panel. So I'm going to dock that over here and open my gradient panel. It looks like this. Make sure that you're showing all the options. So if you click here and it says hide options, that means you're showing them all. But if you open it up and it looks like this, make sure you go here and show the options. All right. So click the yellow color stop and drag straight down off the panel, delete it. Okay, so they're going to have you click this and then you can delete it. And then delete all the color stops except for the first and last color stop. So this one, I'm pretty sure you can probably hold shift and do this as well. Okay. So then click the leftmost color stop. If you double click these, it'll open up your swatches. So you can change the colors there. And then the color swatches panel opens the bottom of the gradient panel. Double click this. And then click the purple. Which one is purple? That says fresh lavender. Guess we'll go with fresh lavender then. All right. So this is going to be a little time consuming if I go through this line by line, but essentially, if I scroll down here and I see this box, they have made a rainbow, which starts with red and ends with purple. When you get close to the little gradient slider bar, you see the mouse changes and there's a plus sign. Just click when you see that plus sign, and then you can double click and add your colors as you go. So orange, yellow, green, and blue. All right. And so then they're going to have you change some of the options going from a linear to a radial gradient, reversing that gradient, and so on, and then adding it to your swatches panel. So let's see. I'm going to situate it a little bit so it kind of looks similar. All right, and then with this little drop down button here, I'm going to choose this little symbol. I don't know what that looks like. It just looks like a symbol, I guess. And I'm going to add this to my swatches. Normally I get a little dialog box. I don't know why I didn't just now, but if you see it in your swatches, you can double click it and then rename it. So this one's called Custom Rainbow. And then click OK. And then they're going to have you use the gradient tool. Just let me move this out of the way. Gradient tool, you can draw your gradient in different ways. You can start it in different places, all kinds of things like that. So the gradient tool looks just like the gradient swatch, except for it's in the tool panel. And then I think they get you to hide it or something, but this is what we're going to do. We're going to show the text that we're about to put this with. So moving to adjust gradients and text. So this one, for some reason, seems to be the one that really got people. I don't know why. There was some selection issues with it. So we'll see. All right, so that's going through how to use that gradient tool. And you're going to go to Object, Show All. And so look, Barry came back and I now have these little gradient text. Now these are live. So if I double click them, I can use my character and paragraph panels and stuff with them, but that's not what we want because you can't put a gradient on live text. What you have to do is create outlines. So these are the issues people told me, that when they have these selected and they go to type, create outlines, that this was grayed out. I don't know if that's what you're experiencing. If it is, please let me know because I still can't figure out why that would be happening. But if it is, what you can do instead is just select each text box one by one and then go to type create outlines. So whichever one works for you, type create outlines. And now these are objects and no longer text. Okay, so they're going to have you go through each of these and apply your new gradient that you created and added to the swatches panel. Or this one, sorry, not that one, the one that you had before. And they're going to have you use the gradient tool to change the way that each one of these runs and looks. Okay. So for instance, if I were to redraw this way, and then move these around, and so on. So that is what you are going to be doing for each of those. All right, and then, sorry, I know it's 8:50. I'm going to go through this one, hopefully super fast. Selecting the small circle, changing the stroke color to red. So select stroke. You can select a red from the color box if you would like. It doesn't matter to me. And then changing the weight to 12. And then on the stroke panel, which mine is not here right now, so I need to go to Window, Stroke. And if you open it up, let me get rid of Color Guide here. I can also get rid of this thing. And you. Okay. So if you open Stroke and this is all you have, what do? Do we assume this is it? This is the end? Thank you. Yes, so show the options and you'll see the things that they're telling you to mess with. So aligning the stroke to different parts, I'm assuming because of the picture that they want you to align it to the outside. And if I zoom in here, you can kind of see what's happening. That's aligning to the inside, aligning in the like center, and then aligning to the outside. All right, and then we are going to change the stroke weight to 51. It's huge. All right, and then click Object, Path, click Outline Stroke. Object, okay, I gotta select it, sorry. Object, Path, Outline Stroke. So what I've now done is change this stroke to where it's no longer a stroke. It's not operable in here anymore. It's a object. And so I can now fill this with a gradient. So what they're going to do is have you go into, not there, go into your swatches panel, select this white and gray gradient. It's got to be, sorry, I did that wrong. It's got to be in the fill here. All right. And then they're going to have you open up the gradient panel and make some changes to the color and all of that. All right. And so that will be what it looks like when you have modified it, and then you will send it to the back and it will be behind that text. So sorry for the little rush, but I want to get to this last one really quick because in the instructions, they say open the blah, blah, blah gradient. And if you open your swatches panel right now, that gradient isn't in there. So using what you have learned to do, you're going to actually make it. So you can start off using, oops, again. Okay, you can start off using that black and gray. Again, that's usually the one that I start off with whenever I'm making a custom gradient. And then, you know, adjust those sliders so that it's what, blue, orange, or I'm sorry, yellow, red, and blue. So yellow, click red, and then blue. Okay. I'm going to assume that I was probably supposed to do something before this, but that's okay. All right, so once you have made that gradient and applied it, then they're going to have you use the gradient panel to change where it lands on the stroke. So anyway, like I said, I didn't go through the instructions here, so mine's, you know, not set up quite yet, but yours will be. Just wanted to let you know you do have to make that gradient. All right. Are there any questions? Sorry, these take a little bit of time to go through. So I've tried to cover as much as I could, at least the more complex parts of the assignment. So let me know. Do you have any questions? All right. Well, there is a recording for you to watch if you wanted to go back through it at your own pace. I know that I have to go kind of quick because it's only 50 minutes. But yeah, and as you're working, if you run into something that's confusing or not working right, please do not hesitate to email me or text or send me screenshots, all of that stuff, because yeah, I can definitely help you pretty quickly by doing that.